This is a quick review for the Mediasonic Homeworx DVR, which is one of the most affordable DVRs you can get. I think it only costs about 30 bucks. And as you can see, it has the exterior hard drive. You do need to get a separate hard drive. It doesn't have any internal storage. You can see how it's hooked up by USB, and it's standing on its side there up against that milk crate. I got this for free from a friend who bought it for me for my birthday, and it's much appreciated as a gift. And I would recommend receiving it as a gift. If somebody were to ask me, is this worth buying with your own money? The short answer to that would probably be no. The long answer would be, it depends, but probably no. And the reason is because, in my experience, it glitches up a lot and it's not terribly reliable. And for me, reliability is key. It's paramount, both with people and with devices. Everything, buildings, obviously, all just whatever you can think of in life. If something isn't reliable, then whatever other good qualities it has really don't mean anything. And it's not that it's not reliable. It's not that it's unreliable all the time, but I have had many, one out of every 4 or 5 nights I come home and expect to have hours worth of television recorded and ready for me to watch, and I go and I see that it never recorded anything, and I'll show you the reason why that happens, or at least I'll show you what it looks like when it happens, and then I'll theorize why it might be happening. So I'm going to pull up here to the screen, and the reason I waited to make this video is because I wanted to wait for the next time that it did this. We're watching television right now, and here's the remote, by the way. You can freeze on that to see all of the different functions. It's not that hard to learn. There are a lot of dual buttons with dual functions, and it's kind of a small remote. And another thing is, it's not a powerful remote. You have to aim right at the DVR for anything to work. Oh, and by the way, I want to give a shout out to Antenna Man. He is a YouTube channel hosted by a guy who is actually a real-life antenna installer, and he did his own review of this device, and he did a pretty good job of it, but I'm going to mention some things that he didn't mention. So make sure to watch his video, and if you're into broadcast TV technology and that kind of stuff, if you're kind of a cord cutter enthusiast type person, you might enjoy that channel. But anyway, I'm going to show you what happens when it tries to record and it doesn't work. See, it says enter record waiting. It hesitates, and then it says unknown error leaving. And my theory, I have a couple of theories for why that may be happening. Now, my friend, he has one of these too, and he doesn't report this happening on his. But he doesn't use it as much as I do mine, so there's that. There could also be the fact that the hard drive that he gave me, which I'll turn back down here to show you. See, the hard drive that we saw at the beginning of the video may not be fully compatible, because I read in the manual, they warned that if you don't use an external hard drive that's fully compatible, you could run into errors. And the main thing they mentioned is if you use a hard drive that draws power from the USB port, that could cause errors. Now, I don't know if this hard drive does that. It's like a 500 gig, I would guess, fairly inexpensive hard drive, and I don't know if it actually draws power from the port like that, but it would be one possible explanation for why that happens. But the thing is, the glitching, it's not reserved to just that. It glitches up when it comes to almost everything, almost every function, and what you end up having to do is turn the DVR off and on to reset everything. Basically like a computer, like the old tech IT guys used to say, just turn it off and turn it back on again. And then that pretty much fixes everything for a day or two, most of the time. Sometimes it'll actually restart itself in the middle of recording or in the middle of just viewing television. It'll just reset itself, run into an error and reset itself. So not entirely sure what's behind that, but we'll go back up to the screen here and I'll show you a couple of things. We'll go to the USB. I'll unzoom here. There we go. Go to where everything is stored, and I record a lot of Bob's Burgers and a lot of Star Trek. Bob's Burgers isn't on anymore though, sadly, but at least on the channels that I can pick up here. But anyway, this is where you select, and I often like to watch. You can see there's a little black screen in the upper right hand corner. Often I just watch on that little screen because I have more ability to play around with the functions from this screen. See, like I can go to well, it says operate. Yeah, see, I would have to click on here. I'll hit one of the episodes. It's showing me some TV that I recorded, and it's telling me, see, from this screen, I can see I have a running clock, and then I have the go-to function, which comes in handy because that's the best way to skip commercials, because the fast-forward functions and the rewind functions don't always work so well. So it's sometimes the best thing is just to skip ahead like 2 or 3 minutes, skip the commercials that way. Sometimes that's another thing. Sometimes it remembers if you go out of, if you watch something and then go out of it and then go back to it. Sometimes it remembers where you left off. Sometimes it doesn't. But if it does remember, it'll tell you. There'll be a box in the upper part of the screen that says start. I forget exactly what it says, but it says it basically asks you if you want to start from where you left off or exit that. So that comes in kind of handy. It can only record one channel at a time, which is kind of a bummer. I mean, it doesn't really affect me 90% of the time, but 10% of the time it does. So it is nice to be able to record more than one thing. This thing has very limited functionality, and it glitches up a lot. It's kind of a one thing at a time box that sometimes can't even do that one thing. So it's not a piece of crap, but it's not the best thing either. Like I said, nice thing to get for free. I wouldn't, if I had bought one myself, I probably, knowing what I know now, I probably would have bought a something that was a little bit higher end, maybe more like in the $50 to $100 range. Not a whole lot more expensive, but expensive enough that actually I think it jumps up to like about 150. Like I would get maybe a $150 one that's a little bit more reliable, but it's not, not bad. I mean, if you're